there is an antidote to worry and anxiety. What's the difference between the two? Well, I'll just bring these up here. Worry is a thought-based response to a specific concern. You're worried about something at work, and what happens is that it stays in your mind and you play it round and over and over and over again, and that worry kind of gets bigger and bigger. Anxiety is a physical and emotional response to a perceived threat. It's why anxiety often leads to some physical health issues, because it affects our body. So when Jesus says that we don't have to worry about our life, what Jesus did was he used a very specific term. It's the word that comes up here, merimneo. And merimneo means this: it's an over-anxious or a state of anxiety or worry, distracted or pulled in different directions. In other words, he was linking both worry and anxiety together in that one word. We have an old English word for worry. It was this: it's worgen. And worgen is another word for worry, and it means to strangle the life out of. Have you ever had worry that's strangling the life out of you? It is strangling the joy and the peace out of your life. Well, that's why Jesus says that's not the good life. When you're experiencing that, that is not the good life. Because you see, to feel worry and anxiety is normal, but to feed it, it's so dangerous. So please hear this, that Jesus doesn't condemn us if we worry or if we're anxious. He knows that that's part of everyday life for us. So if we feel it, it's okay. If we feed it, Jesus is saying that's not okay. So what's the antidote to worry and anxiety with the stuff of life? Well, Jesus doesn't give us 10 steps or 7 keys or a 4-point plan. He gives us one thought, and it's this. It's that word there. It's trust. Trust. Trust is God's antidote to worry and anxiety. The problem is that it's easier said than done. Trust is about releasing control into the hands of someone else. And that's great in theory, but it's flipping hard in practice. And if you're a follower of Jesus here today, you know how hard it is to live up to what we say that we believe, to really put our trust in Jesus. Richard Voloda said this: the images we have of God in our head determine the degree of worry we feel in our souls. What's our view of God? Is he someone that we can trust, who is good, who has big hands and wide arms to be able to cope with the stuff that we're worried about? Or is he someone to be avoided? Jesus challenges his listeners to ask themselves what road they're really on. He says this: people who don't know God and the way he works fuss over these things, but you know both God and how he works. Steep your life in God reality, God initiative, God provisions. Don't worry about missing out. You'll find your everyday human concerns will be met. Jesus is saying, trust God, trust God. Which sounds fine, but how do we do that? Well, a man called Peter gives us a bit of an insight. Peter was one of the followers of Jesus too, and he wrote a letter near the end of the collection of books called the Bible. And he wrote this verse, and he says, cast all your anxiety, your cares, your worries, your merimneo, that word, remember? Cast all of your anxieties on him. Why? Because he cares for you. Jesus said this as he concluded this section. He says, therefore, don't worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own. About 25 years ago, when Sarah, my first wife, was diagnosed with cancer and found that the cancer had gone to her liver, which we knew that therefore she was not going to kind of recover from it. I remember having those thoughts of what on earth's going to happen. And those thoughts start to play around in your head. What's going to happen? How are the kids going to cope? How am I going to cope? Poor Sarah, what's going on? And I remember very early on being taken by a guy called Robin Johnson to a church in Stowmarket, to the Stowmarket Parish Church. They'd got a Peruvian speaker speaking. I don't know why Robin had invited me, but I went along and I sobbed throughout the whole flipping service. I was in such a mess at the time. I don't remember anything that he said other than these words. He was quoting what God has to say, that when God says, "My grace is sufficient for you. My grace is sufficient for you." And I remember hearing that, and it changed everything for me. Rather than panicking about the future, I knew that what God had for me was for today. And when it came to tomorrow, which would then be today, his grace would be sufficient again. And it really changed how we spent the last year of Sarah's life together, because we didn't have to worry about the future, about tomorrow, because blimey, there are enough things to worry about if that was the case. But I came to learn to live with, well, whatever it is that I'm worried about today, God, I'm going to throw it at you, because you can catch it and you can take it. And it allows me to be free.